One very disturbing thing in Nigerian public space is its approach to security and insecurity. Nigeria is one country that all its geopolitical zones are affected by one type of insecurity or the other, or in most instances, a combination of all variations of insecurity that exist in Nigeria are found in one or two geopolitical zones in the country. It's also a country where the military is presently engaged in 34 out of the 36 states in the country, in the federation. That tells you something. One also very surprising thing is that many variations of insecurity in Nigeria have persisted for even more than 2 decades. You know, is it the separatist agitation in the southeast? Is it the Boko Haram or ideology-driven terrorist groups in northeast and northwest? What actually happens on the result that is actually mostly achieved in Nigeria insecurity is usually the spread of this insecurity from one part of the country to the other. So instead of curtailment, we have massive upsurge, implosion, and radicalization. Solutions actually come last. In most instances, you know, public opinion are usually pitched along the line that the military, the service chiefs should be changed. You know, the service chiefs are actually doing absolutely nothing and all that. You know, it is surprising that it has absolute little or nothing to do with the service chiefs. In as much as security chiefs, we also want a career sustenance. We also want survival in a job, and most times they play and offer speeches that aligns or appeals to the political class. But we all, or they, or few Nigerians actually know the truth. Why must a country persist on a security architecture, a security system that is actually or have failed to yield result over time? What are the major causatives of insecurity? It might surprise us to know that almost all the security challenges in the country is pitched on developmental issues: economic deprivation, grievances of the misgoverned. Then ideology along the line is marketed to justify an already made market, a market that have actually been prepared by economic deprivation. In most instances, instead of analysts, experts, policymakers to look at how policies of government could be able to curtail in the nearest future or at immediate more security relapse, instead of security advising to be focused on how government policies could possibly lead to further insecurity. You know, we more often than not pitch our analysis, our focus on kinetic options without asking questions. If we have security challenges where political issues actually escalated them, it will also require political solutions to put an end to them. You know, if you take the Northeast region, for example, it is a region with the highest index in poverty rate all over the country. And then, you know, it's also a region with a very large landmass that actually gives room for the existence, side by side, the regular community of these insurgent terrorists and all that, to have, you know, a well-shaded hideout within the community in the vastly ungoverned spaces. And what they actually mean by ungoverned spaces, you actually have large landmass, you know, and then that makes porosity of borders, you know, easy and all that, because it's also stated that borders in the Chad Basin and then the Sahel, which actually account for more than half of all terrorist incidents in the world consistently for a few years now, and all that. You know, this Northeast region, what has been the challenge? What has been the persisting cause of insecurity in the region? And how will we be able to curtail it? What is the implication of current government policies in making sure that the future is secure, that the security is sustained in the Northeast region? To what extent can the current deployment of kinetic options consistently that have failed for nearly 2 decades, to what extent can it be able to sustain the peace in that region? Should we continue doing the same things over and over again, despite it is not yielding result? In most instances, what we could actually see is that they make the cases worse. There's emergence of new terrorist groups now in northwest Nigeria. You know, there is also resurgence of terrorist group Boko Haram and ISWAP. In northeast, Professor Zulum recently have actually been crying out, talking about insecurity in Borno State. But consistently, we are expecting the military to do the same thing over and over again. The same thing that they have been doing that have failed to yield results. We are talking about Benue State. And we had the CDS talk about political solution. We also had the king, the thought of thief, talking about invasion. What is actually the problem? We must get to the problem in order to find solution. And even if we are not finding solutions, we must make sure that current government policies will not lead to further escalation or will not lead to more insecurity in the near future. Thank you.